The 10 benefits of networking is where we're going to start today. And there's probably hundreds of benefits really of doing some sort of business networking. But the 10 benefits we're going to talk about today are going to be wrapped up in the things that you can get out of being an effective networker. Or even if you're not an effective networker and you want to be a better networker, we're going to help you out with that too. So the first benefits I would say to do with networking are to do with fresh ideas. It's the idea of exchanging information, asking for help, offering help, getting a fresh set of eyes on problems that you might be wanting to solve, or a fresh set of eyes on the things that you may want to address in your business. Because there's likely to be others who are there to help, who are going to be going through those same sorts of problems that you're going through as well. The exchanging information means you need to be a little bit vulnerable. You might need to tell people a little bit more about your business and the problems you're going through in order for you to find some people who are going to help you out a bit more with that. That means also asking for help. If you're not someone who likes to ask for help, you might be someone who prefers to just go it alone. Well, then in that case, then you might need to think of other ways in which you connect with people. And sometimes that might be in online networking. But offering help is one way that really allows you to dig deep and offer something of yourself to the network. And this will become a little bit more obvious later on when we look at the ways we're looking at networking as not just being a one-way street where you are getting help all the time, but you're actually able to offer something out of your own areas of expertise. Another benefit of networking is raising your profile. Now, this is important if you're a new business because you may not have a lot of money for a lot of other kinds of marketing, such as Facebook ads, Google ads, television and radio ads. So raising your profile from one person to the next person could be a really valid way of marketing your business. But this does require you being consistent and consistently showing up to networking events, which may be terrifying for you if you're not someone who really enjoys the process of networking. It's also going to depend a lot upon who you show up as. And I had some interesting conversations with Sean Sewell, who's a great business coach here in Australia and has done some amazing work with some amazing people in his inner circle that he works with. And one of the things he likes to put himself into is this sort of a state of mind where he asks himself, who am I showing up as right now? And if he's not showing up as the core things that he wants to show up when he meets people, when he presents, when he does work with people, then there's something wrong and he needs to correct that and often needs to apologize and say, look, I'm not being authentic right now. And authenticity was one of his, being humble and being vulnerable. They were his three: authentic, humble, and vulnerable were his ones. So I share a couple of those with him. The things I like to show up with is that I want to be effective, I want to be authentic, I want to be vulnerable, and I want to be honest. Not powder coating things so they seem better than they are. It's being very honest with you about the things that work and don't work, and especially the things that I've had experience with. And if I don't have experience at that level, there's no use me getting behind a camera and teaching a bunch of people how to do it. And this then leads to your reputation. So if you're showing up as that same person every time and you're consistently showing up to those, you're not all over the place, you're not just picking and choosing events you want to go to, then you get the reputation of being someone who's not only full of expertise, but someone who is also reliable. And that reliability factor is so important for when it comes to networking and people wanting to work with you. Nobody wants to work with someone who sometimes turns up, sometimes doesn't turn up, sometimes they don't really participate, they don't really offer that much. What we want to do is talk with people who we feel comfortable dealing with because they are consistent. The person they are is consistent and they have a good reputation and good integrity from consistently showing up as the person that they are in that network. So raising your profile, definite a benefit of networking. Next one is connections. And this is all part of that whole sales process that involves people knowing you, liking you, and trusting you enough to buy your product or to sign up for your services. First of all, people need to know you. If they don't know you, they don't know what you do. And they don't know what you do, they don't have any sort of way of judging whether they need what you do. But then there's also the like factor. People do need to like you. We are social creatures after all. We're not going to always deal with people we can't stand just because they're the only person in town. Sometimes we'll go well out of our way to not deal with that person because we want to work with someone else. So the like factor needs to be there. And you might think, oh, I'm not really a sociable, likable person. That's okay. There's more than one way to get someone to like you. And this doesn't mean that constantly giving away your time, your effort, your money, and buying them drinks and being the life of the party. In fact, that doesn't make you likable. It just makes you easily used. And then there's a trust factor. When someone knows you, they're most likely to like you. If they like you, then they're more likely to trust you to be able to deliver the products and the services that you want to work with. So when you do that, you're able to get that full range of feelings and connections that people want when they want to work with you as a business, which keeps you top of mind. They know you, they like you, they trust you. They're right there in the front of mind. So they know when I need someone who does essential oils, I know that she does essential oils and I can turn straight to her. Or if I know someone who mentions to me that they need a plumber, I know a plumber who's reliable because I know them, I like them, and I trust them. And networks are probably the best place to get that know, like, trust factor together, because you've got so much time that's dedicated into the knowing, the liking, the trusting, so that people can understand who you are. And then they understand who you are, they have no problem referring you to everybody they know who needs what it is you do. And you build connections with people not by being the person who's constantly taking. You become connected to people in a really valuable way by sharing as well. So it's not just by continually going and just taking connections, taking leads, taking referrals. You can offer some in there too. It makes for good human connection. And at the core of all these networking events and functions and organizations is people. They're just basically a collection of people who are all in it, not just for themselves, but some higher purpose. And we'll talk a bit more about that later on as well. Now that we talk about connections, we move on to the next benefit, which is all about opportunities. Presence is opportunity. Now, people say, oh, yeah, it must have been in the right place at the right time to get that opportunity. This is right place at right time in action. It's you making sure you're in the place, which is the right place at the right time to get the result you want. It doesn't come down to luck. It comes down to continually showing up. It gives you inside knowledge to certain moves in your industry or things that are going on in the economy in your local area, and gives you easy introductions to people who can help solve your problems, and also introductions to people to you where you can help solve their problems. And it's not all just a for free pro bono thing. A lot of the time, it's just a matter of being able to do those introductions as a matter of just being a good human being. I know that you're a plumber. Why wouldn't I introduce someone I know to you? Because I know and like and trust you. So I would just trust that you do a good job with them and you'd be a good steward of that introduction that I've made. So benefits of networking are not always social. They're not always immediately business related, but they put you in the middle of where opportunities happen. Where business people come together is where opportunities are made. And those opportunities might just be mentoring. Those opportunities might just be more connections and networking. But at their best, those opportunities are sales or introductions to the people who need what you do and will get that sale. Another benefit of networking is learning. This is one of the most underrated things you can get out of a business network, is more access to new information, new ways of doing things. You can ask experts in the room. A lot of networking functions will have an expert speaker who you would never normally have any access to. But now, because you're in that room, remember the opportunities we were talking about in the last slide, because you're in the room, you now have the opportunity to ask that question to an expert face to face, or on a Zoom call, or on a Teams call if you're not doing the in-person thing quite yet in where you live, and allows you to watch the leaders. And throw this sip of water, I'll tell you what I mean about that. Now, watching the leaders is like noticing what the great people are doing. It's like watching someone who's a great business owner and watching her and the way that she interacts with other people and learning the way of mastery and the way of the people who are best at what they do. You're watching the best in the business and how they interact with people. If you're terrified of networking, you don't know where to start, watch the people that are really good at it. Watch how they apparently work a room or schmooze around a room. You'll find it's effortless. It's effortless and it's natural, and it makes people feel really well liked and they feel heard and understood when a really good networker has a conversation with them. It's a beautiful thing to watch. You see a master networker and watching her move around a room, having conversations that add value to everybody they speak to. It's like I like to think of a master networker as being like a butterfly. A butterfly can flit and float and go from flower to flower to flower and garden to garden, but everywhere where that butterfly lands is made better because the butterfly landed there. And that's what a master networker does. So you can learn all sorts of information. You can learn industry information. You can learn updates and educational stuff. You can get in touch with experts through networking, but you can learn so much about business and so much about the way to deal with people by watching the people who are really good at networking in those events and functions. So I really encourage you to do that. There's also advice and support to be found in spades when it comes to networking. And I'm talking about, the more advanced people in your industries who may be in those functions. I love having conversations with my competitors who are 25 years further down the track than I am, because they're so willing to share their journeys and share the ups and downs and be honest about where they're at. And I love that about my industry, because we're all in, I wouldn't say cutthroat competition, but we all come from a very big mindset of abundance. We believe that not even all of us who are serving these areas are able, because we're so busy, we're also busy with clients. We know there's so much more room and headspace to be able to get more clients. So we like to share referrals and share referrals to each other. And I love that. My biggest competitor in town in Darwin is constantly referring people to me, and I'm constantly referring people to them, simply because we all do good work, but we do slightly different things. Maybe I don't want to do that job, but I can pass it on to them to be able to do it. Advice and support can come in the form of mentorships, and a lot of networks will provide that kind of mentorship as part of what they do. Or you might be buddied up into smaller groups of industry relevant people. So you're actually getting some good value from people who may be further along the journey than what you are. And there's structure. Structure makes it so much easier to approach these things, so you don't feel quite so stupid asking someone for help or asking them to explain something, because the structures are in place within networking events that allow that to happen. A networking event isn't beer and pizza and just rocking up and just fumbling your way through. There should be some kind of structure that helps you to follow that way. And if there's none in that particular networking organization you go to, it may be time to look at another networking event or another networking organization that more effectively handles the introduction of new members, more effectively handles the buddying up and the growth and the consistency of members who are there, and actually makes you want to come, not just because you're being forced to out of accountability, but you're doing it because you see so much value that is coming to you, and even more so, how much value you as an expert, as a business owner, as a very smart individual can offer to that network as well. So benefits are obvious. Confidence is another one. You get to step out of your comfort zone. And if you're someone who's not confident with stepping out of your comfort zone, I tell you what, go to a networking function with someone who is. There's going to be a friend, there's going to be a fellow business owner who you know, who you feel comfortable around, and they will introduce you to everybody. I love doing that in networks where I'm a member and someone's new that I take along. I can happily just go introduce, and I do it in a structured way. Hi, this is Haley. Haley's a colleague of mine who works in this, and she's looking to work with more people who are doing this, and this. This is Troy, and Troy is working in this particular industry. So, Haley, I think you guys actually might have a few things in common. So we want to have a chat about that. I'm just going to go and get a drink, and I'll come back and check in with you in a sec. I've got a very solid structure for introducing people at the points of where they've got common interests or common problems they might want to solve. And that's one of the things we'll look at very shortly. But it does take a little bit of vulnerability. You're going to have to let some people in. Doesn't mean telling them all your hopes and dreams for the future and your whole life story. In fact, I would encourage you not to do those things in a working function. It might be a little bit too heavy for most people to hear your whole childhood growing up story. But what it does is it allows you to show your humanity. And when you see the humanity in someone, there's an empathy that rises up in all of us that helps us to go, oh my goodness, I either want to give you a hug or I just want to talk to you more because there's something about you that's so fascinating. And that connection is what differs us from the animals. We have this affinity that can grow through empathy with each other. It's not just a matter of you are of value to me, I'm of value to you, let's move together as the flock. It's more of a, wow, I feel really deeply impacted by something you just said, and that makes me want to know you, which is going to make me then like you and then eventually trust you as well. That refers back to when we're talking about the knowing, the liking, and the trusting. And it builds your networking muscle. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So if you've got a nice routine to go in there, a strategy you're going to walk in with, then it means when you do that again, and the next time do it again, and the next time do it again, you're going to have the ability to, to meet a lot more people and to get closer to those people who can connect you with your customers, or at least connect you with someone who can use some help from you at some stage. Now we move on to those new perspectives, which is so important when it comes to getting stuck in a rut. No one should be stuck in a rut, because what it does, it just causes us to have nothing but problems, because we get stuck in our old ways of doing things, and we get stuck in our old ways of, of being and acting, and we don't have any sort of room for growth or change. And a business that can't grow or change is a severe disadvantage in a competitive world like we're in, and in a world where the ability to be able to grow and change makes for a much more agile business that can move faster, do more, be more effective, and serve more people in a more highly impacting way. And that's what I think the new perspectives are. When you introduce the new people, new perspectives, it makes a big difference. It allows you to think differently and act accordingly and move better through your business. Relationships are also a big benefit. You can meet like-minded people, and we always like meeting people that have a similar view to our own, whether it's our view on the prevention of cruelty to animals, or whether it's our view on LGBTIQA justice and rights. If we have some sort of thing in common, we can connect more, and that gets back to the knowing you, liking you, and trusting you method. Driven and goal-oriented people tend to be in these networks, and that is good to be around, because you become the people that you hang around the most. And if you're going to one networking event a month, at least that one night a month, you hang around particularly motivated and driven and goal-oriented people, which means that you, as you do it more, become more motivated, driven, and goal-oriented as well. You become more effective as you're around more effective people, rather than being around people who are constantly putting you down for starting a business, because why did you get a job just like your brother did? He seems so much more happy and stable. If you're around other business owners who are succeeding, who are growing, who have got really good things to input to the conversation, then this is a way for you. I think in the Bible, it's called iron sharpens iron. And when we talk about iron sharpens iron, it's the ability for you to be able to, you can't sharpen a diamond with a dull bronze sword. You need to use diamond to sharpen diamond. So if you want to sharpen each other up, be around people who you want to be more like. It's also a great place for getting really easy, quick answers. I like getting quick answers from people who are better than me in the room. They have an answer every question. It depends on how big your network is. If you've got a big enough network, there's someone in there who's got the answer to the problem you've got. The bigger the network, the more answers you're going to find. And finally, as we look at the last of these benefits, I say, look at the takeaways. Networking has clear benefits. Learning and growing is part of what you do in networking. There's the opportunity for you to build a profile and build your confidence and increase that networking muscle every time you go to an event and participate in it. And have a clear picture before you go to networking events and functions of who you want to show up as. When you go in with that mindset of saying, I want to be authentic, vulnerable, humble, then make sure you turn up and test yourself during the night or the afternoon or the lunch of being authentic, humble, and vulnerable as well.